A few weeks ago, I made a video going over the top 10 most overpriced LEGO Star Wars sets of all time using price per gram. And it was all possible thanks to this guy in my Discord named Matthew Crump that provided me with an Excel spreadsheet of every LEGO Star Wars set ever made, including their weights, their prices adjusted for inflation, and their inflation adjusted price per gram. And in this video, I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm going over the top 10 most underpriced LEGO Star Wars sets of all time using price per gram. Now, if you're someone that watched the last video on overpriced sets, you know that I was not able to make that list by simply just going over the top 10 sets with the highest price per gram. I actually had to come up with a pretty extensive metric, to say the least, to make that list possible. However, thankfully, with this video going over the top 10 most underpriced sets, I don't have to do that. I can simply just go over the top 10 LEGO Star Wars sets with the lowest price per grams of all time. No need for some big, giant, complicated metric that takes me 10 minutes to explain. So wasting no time and hopping straight into it, at the number 10 spot is 6209 Slave 1 from 2006, with 537 pieces and an original retail price of only $50 US. Now this set's inflated retail price comes out to about $80 in today's money, and the set weighs 744.3 grams, coming out to a price per gram of only 10.7 cents. And one thing you're definitely going to pick up on as we go throughout this list is that most of these sets are older. I'm talking pre-2008. There's only a very small handful of modern sets on this list. But anyways, back to the Slave 1, it is a great model. Definitely not the best Slave 1 LEGO has made, but for 2006, this was an absolute banger. It was only $50, $80 in today's money, and it's a very large model too. LEGO would definitely not sell a set this big for $80 in 2025, but back in 2006 they did, and it was really awesome. Up next at the number 9 spot is definitely one of the more obscure LEGO Star Wars sets ever made, that being 10018 Darth Maul from 2001. This set is technically a UCS set, and it includes 1,868 pieces and had an original retail price of $150, which adjusted for inflation is about $270 in today's money. The set weighs 2,551 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 10.7 cents. And the obvious reason for this set's price per gram being on the lower end is because 1, it doesn't have any minifigures, and 2, there aren't really any special pieces in this set either. The whole thing is literally just bricks, 1x1s, 2x2s, and 2x4s. So LEGO definitely wasn't breaking the bank trying to produce this thing. But regardless, like I said, it is clearly one of the most unique Star Wars sets ever made. I mean, it's literally a giant Darth Maul head. It looks pretty freaking crazy. And despite it being fairly cheap in 2001, its current resale price is absolutely insane. On eBay, this set sealed is around $2,500, and there's even one on here listed for $10,000. Anyways though, up next at the number 8 spot is another UCS set, that being 10175 Vader's TIE Advance from 2006, with 1,212 pieces and an original retail price of $100 US. And this set's inflated retail price comes out to about $160 in today's money. It weighs 1,538 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 10.4 cents. And I freaking love this set. It's one of my all-time personal favorite UCS sets. I think for 2006, LEGO did an amazing job on this thing. I'd even say it was ahead of its time. It's massive, it's a great display piece, and there's tons of detail all over. And then of course you have that nice exclusive cockpit piece. This set was just a banger back in 2006, and like Darth Maul, it's on the cheaper end, probably because it doesn't have any minifigures, but still, it's a great set, and I really hope LEGO remakes this soon. Continuing on to the number 7 spot, I have another pretty obscure set, that being 7159 Star Wars Pod Racing Bucket from 2000. This set has 292 pieces and had an original retail price of only $25, and adjusted for inflation, that's about $45 in today's money. It weighs 448 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 10.4 cents. And the reason this is a pretty obscure or unique set is because it literally comes in a bucket. It didn't come in a normal LEGO box, and on the inside it contains 4 pod racers as well as an observation stand. And the whole gimmick with this set is that you could mix and match the other pod racers to make your own custom pod racer, which I honestly think is pretty cool. LEGO definitely doesn't usually do sets like this, but since its release, it's definitely gone kind of under the radar. I don't think people really care about this thing anymore, but at the very least, it's still nice to see that it made this list. Anyways though, up next at the number 6 spot is yet another UCS set with no minifigures, that being 10143 Death Star 2 from 2005. This set has 3,449 pieces and had an original retail price of only $270, which really doesn't seem like much for a set of this size, even for 2005, but regardless, adjusted for inflation, that comes out to about $450 in today's money. The set weighs 4,340 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 10.2 cents. And yeah, just like Darth Maul and the Vader's TIE Advance, this set is cheap mainly because it doesn't have minifigures, but at the same time, that doesn't really matter because this set is legendary as of now and for for the foreseeable future for a long time, it's going to be the only fully enclosed Death Star that LEGO has ever made, which pretty much automatically makes this thing a staple in LEGO Star Wars. Now, in 2025, it is definitely a bit dated. There's some pretty large gaps here and there in between the panels, and also from what I've heard, it is fairly fragile. I wouldn't know because I don't own it, but I've talked to people that do, and they claim it is kind of fragile. But still, like I said, it's the only fully enclosed Death Star LEGO has made, let alone the only standalone Death Star 2 set, which just automatically makes this set legendary. Now making our way into the top 5 at the number 5 spot is another set from 2006, that being 6211 Imperial Star Destroyer. This set has 1,367 pieces and had an original retail price of only $100. And adjusted for inflation, that comes out to about $160 in today's money. It weighs 1,583 grams, coming out to a price per gram of only 10.1 cents. And while I personally think this is the weakest Star Destroyer out of the 3 LEGO has made, I can appreciate it for what it was back in 2006. It was a very large and fun playset with a really nice interior, although I personally just think it doesn't really hold up compared to the 2014 and 2024 Star Destroyers. For one, it's extremely fragile, and if you own this set, you know that. It literally falls apart and crumbles in your hand every time you try to pick it up. And also, one thing I've never really liked about it is the design choice of having an open window in the bridge. I just don't think it looks very good. I mean, I think it was a cool play feature to be able to put figures up there. I just honestly wish they would have covered it up and not had it exposed like that, because it just looks kind of ugly and kind of throws off the look of the Star Destroyer. So, like I said, I can appreciate it for what it was back in 2006, but I just don't think it really holds up compared to the other two. Anyways though, up next at the number 4 spot is a set that most of you guys probably weren't expecting to be on this list, and it's actually a set that released this year in 2025, that being 75407 Brick-Built Star Wars logo, with 700 pieces and a retail price of $60 US. This set has a weight of 606 grams, and with a $60 retail price, that comes out to a price per gram of 9.9 cents, the first set with a sub 10 cent price per gram on this list. And yeah, I think this is very ironic because from what I've seen, most people consider this set to actually be overpriced, but no, according to price per gram, it's one of the top 10 cheapest LEGO Star Wars sets of all time. Now, like some other sets on this list, the main reason for that is because it doesn't have any minifigures, but still, I mean, the point still stands. Now, as for the set goes, I think it was a very unique idea and definitely kind of a risky set for LEGO to make, but I think they pulled it off really well. I mean, I have this set sitting on my shelf in my collection, and I think it looks great. It's a super fun and intricate build, and the way they were able to pull off the perfect shapes of the letters is honestly super impressive. And according to this list and the context of price per gram, it's one of the cheaper LEGO Star Wars sets ever made. But now making our way into the top 3 at the number 3 spot is one of the most legendary LEGO Star Wars sets ever made, that being 7662 Trade Federation MTT from 2007. This set has 1,330 pieces and had an original retail price of only $100, which adjusted for inflation comes out to about $155 in today's money, which is cheaper than the newest MTT, and the set weighs 1,686 grams, coming out to a price per gram of only 9.2 cents. So first off, you have this absolutely incredible MTT build. Now, it definitely is a bit dated in 2025, but it's still a very good looking model, and it's massive, has tons of play features and functionalities, and is a super fun set, and it includes over 20 battle droids. And second, the cherry on top is that it had an amazing retail price. $100 back in 2007, $160 in today's money is such a bargain for this set because you're just getting so much. It's a massive model with over 1,300 pieces. It looks incredible, has tons of droids. It really has everything you'd want in a separatist set, and LEGO will most likely never ever release a set like this for such a cheap price ever again. Anyways though, up next at the number 2 spot is a bit of a random set that I was kind of surprised to see on this list, that being 75255 Yoda from 2019. This set has 1,771 pieces and had an original retail price of only $100, which is honestly a pretty crazy price to piece ratio, but this set's retail price adjusted for inflation comes out to about $125 in today's money, weighs 1,386 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 9.1 cents. And I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. Again, I am surprised it's on this list. I actually didn't know this set had 1,700 pieces. For some reason, I thought it had like 900 or something, because 1,700 pieces for only $100 is pretty crazy. I know price per piece is not the standard around here. We don't like price per piece, but that's still just something interesting to take note of. As for the set goes, I mean, I think his body looks good, but as for all buildable characters, it's nearly impossible to get the face right, so he looks pretty freaky. But still, it's really interesting that this set is on this list, let alone at the number 2 spot. But then finally, now making our way to the number 1 spot, we have another UCS set with no minifigures, and actually one of the first large scale UCS sets LEGO ever made, that being 10030 Imperial Star Destroyer from 2002, with 3,096 pieces and an original retail price of $270, which adjusted for inflation comes out to about $480 in today's money, and this set weighs 5,631 grams, coming out to a price per gram of 8.6 cents. To this day, it's honestly crazy to me that LEGO pulled this set off all the way back in 2002, only 3 years after LEGO Star Wars as a theme launched. Now keep in mind, this thing is definitely very outdated in 2025. It's also an extremely fragile model, probably one of the most fragile LEGO sets ever made, but at the very least, it looks really good. I mean, this thing doesn't look like it came out in 2002, especially when you compare it to the other sets that came out that year. This thing looks like it could have easily came out in like 2007, 2008, 2009, but no, it came out only 3 years after LEGO Star Wars as a theme launched, which I think is really impressive, let alone at a retail price of only $270 in 2002 and $480 in today's money, making it the cheapest LEGO Star Wars set in the context of price per gram ever made. Anyways though, that is going to do it for this video. These are the top 10 most underpriced LEGO Star Wars sets of all time according to price per gram. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see on the screen right now.